Hey everybody, today I wanted to talk about a very interesting haunting that is going on over on the scary side of TikTok. So for a little backstory, there's a creator named Sydney. Her and her sister and her niece rented an Airbnb for the weekend to attend a wedding. And pretty quickly, they started noticing some weird things. So the first thing they were noticing was their dog. She would just stand in the middle of the stairs, kind of like looking around, didn't seem to really be focused, like looking in on one spot, but she was just, standing in the middle of the stairs, and she looked kind of the way the dog looks when, they hear a noise upstairs. So like they're kind of trying to go up the stairs to investigate, but like they're also scared, so they don't go all the way up the stairs. But she's just kind of hanging out. It's more towards the bottom of the stairs, but still, she's just kind of like in the middle of the stairs, refusing to go up or down. And they just think she's being weird at first, but she keeps doing it. She keeps going back to that spot. So they decide, you know what, let's do a little more investigating. Let's try to figure out what's going on here. So then in her next video, she shows that there is a door below those stairs that is locked. Now, it is an Airbnb, so that is pretty normal for them to have random locked doors, usually a closet or something where they keep supplies. So it's really not weird to have this strange locked door. But the thing that's weird is that the dog is being weird on the stairs that is right above this assumably room that is behind this locked door. And then the next video is Sydney and her sister kind of messing around with the door, trying to see what's going on there. She slides her phone under the door to see, if there's someone back there messing with it. Maybe there's an animal, she's just doing some basic investigating. Slides her phone under the door. And then once she pulls her phone out from under the door, she kind of stands up. The doorknob, it sounds like the doorknob starts jiggling. She doesn't say what it is, and it seems kind of hard to tell, but it sounds like the doorknob is jiggling. So then her and her sister, I assume it's her sister, since that is who's there with her, they start shrieking and freaking out because this locked door is just rattling. So then in the next video, she talks about how she contacted the Airbnb host to make sure that there wasn't another guest in this house. So occasionally you will have Airbnb houses that are split up like apartments. So it is one singular house, but maybe there's, 2 or 3 different floors that could potentially have guests in them. Each guest is blocked off from each other like an apartment, but they are still within this same dwelling. And so that is, that's what the commenters are thinking. They're like, hey, get a hold of the host, make sure that there isn't someone else staying there. It's kind of creepy if there's someone else staying there and you were not made aware of that beforehand. So they get a hold of the host and he says that no, there's nobody else there. You guys are the only guests there. As we see later on, the basement is not like a second unit or anything. It is just a basement. Also, it hasn't really come up yet, but we'll see that it is a basement. It's not like a closet or anything, it's not like where Harry Potter's living. It is, the door goes down some other stairs and it is just the basement. In Sydney's next video, she is standing at the bottom of the stairs. The dog is standing in the middle of the stairs being weird again. And there's a beaded curtain over a door that is like kind of adjacent to the top of the stairs. And these beaded curtains are moving pretty good. They are kind of whipping around. And so Sydney goes up the stairs and she sees that the window is open. So hopefully that's just the cause of the beaded curtains. Do we know that for sure though in the end? No, was it the ghost? Was it the wind? We don't know. It probably is just the wind, but either way, those beaded curtains freaked her out. So later on, she asked the host if she could take them down and he said yes. So she took those down, but we also see that she had some balloons that were moving and hopefully that was just from the wind as well. Granted, she closed the window and then the balloons were moving, but it could have just been, like the pressure change, whatever, from closing the window, or just her moving around could have moved the air enough to make the balloons move. So do I think that that stuff was paranormal? Not necessarily. So that is one thing we can kind of debunk. but it is also extremely creepy. When you are already being freaked out by something being in this strange home you're staying in, and then there's just things moving on their own, it is really freaky, even if there is an explanation like the window being open. But then at the end of this video is probably the scariest thing out of this whole situation. Well, there's two main things, but this is one of the scariest things out of this whole situation. She's upstairs looking at the balloons that are moving, and then all of a sudden it sounds like someone's running up the stairs. So she moves the camera over the banister, you know, to see if someone's running up the stairs. Granted, we don't have context of like where her sister and niece are at this time, so maybe she's alone and it's way creepier, or maybe they are there and maybe she's just like, oh, you know, why is my family just running up the stairs? Like, this is weird. She pans the camera over and there's no one there. And all of a sudden the dog's leash, so the dog's leash was attached to the dog and the leash was just like laying on the ground. The leash just like flies up in the air and then flies back down. Still connected to the dog and everything. Like, it looks like someone picked up the leash and like, you know, just tossed it up in the air and then it like fell right back down. And it is so creepy. Just the fact that sounds like someone's running up the stairs to the dog or running down the stairs to the dog, and then the leash moves. It is super freaky and the dog looks super confused too. Then the next video is Sydney and her sister. I think her niece is there too. You can kind of hear what sounds like a younger girl in the background. So probably her sister and her niece and her. They are messing with this door that goes into the basement. She's knocking and then sliding her phone under the door. Nothing happens. Pulls phone back out, knocks. She keeps doing this. They're just trying to see, because previously when they would mess with the door, knock on it, whatever, the door handle would start rattling. So they were trying to make that happen again, and they wanted to see if it, you know, it looked like a person or something back there rattling the doorknob. But the doorknob doesn't rattle. One of the times that she pushes her phone under the door, the phone looks like it gets yanked, and then it's just kind of like sitting there. And then all of a sudden, it just like plops down all of the stairs. So whatever this is grabbed her phone and yanked it down the stairs. So then obviously her phone is in the basement sitting at the bottom of the stairs. They obviously can't get to it. This is a locked door. So they get a hold of the host and they're like, hey, you gotta come unlock this basement. Our phone is down there. So the host comes, he unlocks the basement, he goes downstairs, brings the phone up. And when he brings the phone up, one of the things that I watched in that video was I specifically made sure to look at her phone to see what type of case she had. Because my thought was, maybe, you know, say this is a hoax. I don't think it's a hoax. We'll get into that later though. But say, you know, this was a hoax, like they were just trying to do, you know, make some fun thing for views while they're at this Airbnb. You know, maybe she shoved it down herself. But if you look at her phone case, it's just like, I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, it's just like some cheap flimsy one, because maybe it's not. And like, that's also mean, and I don't want to be mean. But it's not like she has some, you know, super protective huge otter box or something on there that, you know, you can push it down the stairs and it's gonna be fine. She just had kind of basically just like a cover, right? That I would assume is probably not very protective at all. So like, why are you going to risk that for views? Why are you going to shove your phone down the stairs for views? And then the way that it kind of stops and then keeps going makes it seem even weirder. Because if it was like, you know, she had it and then all of a sudden it was plump, plump, plump down the stairs, like, sure, maybe you could push it. But it seemed like it had got pushed far enough away that she wouldn't have been able to like get her fingers or anything else in there to like keep pushing it till it went down the stairs. So like, that's another thing that I feel like kind of debunks this being her just being like, oh, I want views, I'm gonna throw my phone down the stairs. Just because, why would you risk your assumably, I'm assuming it's an iPhone, assumably $1,000 phone? I just don't think that somebody's going to do that. And then the next video is Sydney walking around the basement trying to see if there's any holes where animals could have gotten in, you know, make sure everything looks good down there. And also kind of just to see, you know, if anybody spots any ghosts. Now, as she's moving the camera through, she points out that it catches a couple, what she's calling orbs. Now, I honestly think they just kind of look like reflections, like if you have a smudge on your camera and the light catches it just right. Or sometimes, especially being in a basement, it's gonna have weird lighting. Is it an orb? Maybe. Is it a reflection of the light? Maybe. We don't really know what's going on there. But as you can see, it's just a normal basement. It kind of looks like maybe the host is using it as like storage kind of, and then there's also cleaning supplies and stuff. So like very normal, doesn't seem to be anything weird down there. And then in her next video, she just wanted to do a little bit of close-ups of some scratch marks that are on the floor and the door that are kind of weird. Granted, could it just be that maybe a previous owner of the house or something had a dog downstairs that was locked down there that was scratching at the door, something like that? Maybe. But also, it's just creepy given everything else we've seen. It is just creepy. And the next video she posts is kind of the final video. Sydney and her family are trying to leave, you know, wedding's over, they're going home. Time to check out. But again, the dog is just standing in the middle of the stairs. So she's looking at the dog, and then you can see the balloons that are at the top of the stairs kind of moving around too. So she's like, you know, let's go up, see if the window's open again. So she gets to the top of the stairs. The window is open again, so she closes it. But at the end of the video, she's kind of like pausing, you know, clips throughout her original video showing that like the shadow, because you can see, this is a really big balloon. You can see the shadow on the wall. The shadow doesn't move as she's walking up the stairs. So it's like, why, you know, why is it only moving when someone's looking at it? If it was the wind, it would be moving constantly. So like that just seems weird. She does have a couple videos after this, but they do seem just to be like her answering questions and nothing that is actually super pertinent to the story at this point. Granted, you know, she might post something else after I've already filmed this video, but at this point in time, that's it. That's the story. She's assumably home from the Airbnb, and that's that. Now, what do I think? I think there's something weird going on at this Airbnb because it just seems like a weird thing to do. Who's gonna think, oh, we're going to this wedding at this Airbnb, let's do something, you know, creepy. Let's freak ourselves out. Let's make ghost videos to go viral on TikTok. I don't think that like that's gonna be your first thought, especially because it's not like her previous videos are anything creepy. If you scroll back through her profile, it's like videos of her cat and just kind of like weird little random things. And when I say weird, I don't mean like creepy weird. I mean just random stuff. Stuff that you would expect from someone who is not an influencer. They're just, you know, posting random stuff to post random stuff kind of thing. And there's not a lot of videos either. So it's not like she has this whole back catalog of videos of her trying to go viral or anything. It's just like videos of her cat. And I think there's like a vacuum or something in there. Just normal little things that you would see just a random person on a TikTok posting. So this like haunted Airbnb thing is like kind of out of the blue, just something totally random, completely different from her other content. And it's not like she's trying to be a content creator, I don't think, because her, you know, previous videos don't make it seem like that is her goal here. I personally think there's something weird going on in that house. There's also something weird going on in this house, and it's a dog who's asleep, pushing my tripod around. The other weird thing is, so before I filmed this video, I was sitting here watching back through the videos to refresh myself so I remembered what I was talking about. And as I got to the last video where the dog's just standing on the stairs again, my dog started barking and like looking around all weird, which is just weird because that's weird for him. He typically does not bark unless someone's like knocking at the door. So that's just another weird little thing to go along with this story. But let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this haunted Airbnb situation. Do you 100% believe it? Do you think it's totally a hoax? If you do think it's a hoax, like what You know, what do you think they did to fake this stuff? Whatever your thoughts are, tell me in the comments down below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.